Welcome back to the podcast Her Life Fully Lived. This podcast is for women building businesses, navigating love, and honoring their body. I'm so glad you are here for this one because today's conversation is for every woman who has ever made a decision and then spent the next 3 days wondering if she made the wrong one. My guest today is Terrie Huberman, author, intuition specialist, and decision clarity mentor. She is the creator of the Heart Hug Method, a science meets soul approach that helps ambitious, deeply feeling women stop overthinking and start trusting themselves again. Welcome, Terrie.
Thank you so much, Anya, for having me here. I'm very excited.
So, you wrote the book Overcoming Overthinking. And today you are going to give us a little bit of taste, I hope so, a taste of that work live on this episode. We are going to talk about what's actually happening in your nervous system when you spiral, the difference between intuition and fear in disguise, and an exercise maybe you can try right now if you're stuck in your head.
Yes.
And stick around because at the end of this episode, I've got two gifts for you: a free download from Terrie to help you start applying this work today, and an invitation to a free tapping hour with me called Coming Home to Yourself. So let's get into it. Terrie, before we get
Yes.
into the method and the tools, I want to start with you.
Yes.
Somewhere in your life, there was a moment, maybe even a season, where overthinking had its grip on you too. Can you take us back there?
It's more like a lifetime. So if you want to call a lifetime a season, let's just do that.
Okay.
But I grew up, bless my parents, I love them dearly. But they never really created emotional stability for me. So I was always in flux. I was always I was just an emotional kid. And so whenever I worried about something, I was told, don't worry, or it's not that important, or anything like that, right? Which a lot of parents do. And I really truly believe that they don't do it intentionally. But when you're a kid and you have questions and you're asking questions and you're not being given answers, you're left to your own creativity. And then as kids, we grow up to adults and the same pattern and the same cycle happens. So the overthinking comes from not having certainty or not knowing certainty, which gives a sense of control. So we'll give ourselves a false sense of control by creating stories just so that we can feel like we know what's going to happen in moments of uncertainty. And when we have more than one feeling at a time, that's a lot of energy because emotions are energies in motion. So when we're having more than one emotion, and it could be positive emotions or negative emotions, it doesn't matter. There's an excess amount of energy in the body.
Yeah.
And so the body will need to release it or absorb it. Somehow it needs to integrate. And typically, what will happen is that it'll either get dispersed, usually through a crisis, or we can take control and direct it and integrate it with choice and decision. So, growing up for me, I was always a very anxious child and I turned into an anxious adult. So for me, that's why I say it wasn't just a season or a life. It's more like a lifetime. And it's not like these go away because they become ingrained through neuroplasticity in the brain. So it becomes a way of life and it just becomes our cycles and it becomes our coping mechanisms and our coping skills. And it's like our operating system. It's how we go through life.
Yeah.
And so I guess the turning point for me had to do with relationship. Ah, I finally just got sick and tired of being the girl who was a people pleaser. I wouldn't necessarily stand up for myself in relationships. And I got into a relationship that was very, um, oh, what's the word? Mixed message. Because the gentleman, he wasn't emotionally mature or stable enough. So he was giving me mixed messages, which of course gives me uncertainty, which of course pokes at the anxiety. And so it was this on and off, really unhealthy relationship. And I said, I can't deal with this anymore. And I went into trauma therapy actually, because there was a lot going on. And
Yeah.
through trauma therapy, I did a lot of neurofeedback. That's kind of how I grew up, how I became, and what my turning point was.
So interesting. And this is something now you teach in this heart hug method?
So the heart hug method
Oh, it is
is
different.
it's different than what it's a creation. It's a framework that I created. So
Okay.
it's my own framework based on a lot of my healing experiences. In therapy, I did a lot of EFT tapping, so which was amazing, which helped. I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Joe Dispenza, but
Yeah.
I took several of his seminars and I learned all about the basics and the fundamentals of what energy is and how it works. And so it really gave me an understanding of control. And so once I understood everything, I was like, okay, that became part of the puzzle. So I have the tapping, I have the understanding how energy works. And also, I started studying Arhatic yoga,
Mm-hmm.
which is the union of the human and the higher soul.
Mm-hmm.
So the real spiritual aspect of this, and between Dr. Joe's teachings and Master Choa Kok Sui's teachings, I learned all about the heart and how the heart works. So I became interested in the Heart Math Institute, and they had a course that you could take to learn the basics of heart coherence. In my spirituality, I am woo, like I love the woo, but I'm also very practical and pragmatic. So the fact that there was science-backed research to all of this in energy and how the heart works, as I started to practice it myself, I started to receive messages because I'm very intuitive. I'm a psychic and a medium as well. So I started channeling messages about myself, and I thought that was really interesting. Let me see if I could put everything together. So I started doing the tapping. I started doing the heart coherence breathing, which would calm my nervous system down to the point where I could start receiving intuitive hits. So I said, wow, okay, there's something to this for those who want to access their intuition so that they can make really good, confident decisions as somebody who knows exactly what it's like. That's where the heart hug method came from. And that's what I practice with my clients. And they just adore it and love it because it's really practical and it's really pragmatic. And it's easy to do, and there's no fee or cost to it. So there's really no excuse when it comes to me giving this as a practice or implementation because it's a quick process, very quick.
Okay. This is
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah, I know tapping works
Yeah.
already. It's fantastic, right? It's
Yeah. And
so
you do
quick.
tapping.
I do
Yes.
tapping all the time. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And especially when we also bring the spiritual aspect into
Yeah.
our work, right?
Hmm.
It's fantastic. It
Yeah.
shifts. There's so much change. Yeah.
There's a lot of change, and there are people who who are not interested
Yeah.
in the spiritual aspect, and this will still work for them
Yeah.
even without that. So whether someone is spiritual, non-spiritual, it doesn't even matter because we're working with the human body. So it's really beneficial to everybody.
Can you walk me through what's literally happening in someone's body in the moment when they overthink or when they are not able to make a decision?
Yes. So again, energies in motion are emotions, and each emotion has a signature, we'll call it energy wave, right? So all that's happening is that a wave of, let's say, sadness. You have a wave of sadness, and from the scientific perspective, I'm going to make this as digestible as possible. You have a bunch of particles, neurons, electrons, all the things we learned about in high school, right? And what's happening is that they're moving at a certain speed and a certain pattern that causes that wave. Sadness is going to be a certain kind of wave. And frustration would be a certain kind of wave based on how fast those particles are moving and what speed and the pattern. Waves that have a slower movement to them are lower in vibrational frequencies. And so what happens is when you have a slower moving wave, your brain can detect that information. Okay. If it moves too fast, it can't detect that information. But just because your brain can't detect that information doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Like the Wi-Fi signal, you're in Brussels. I'm in Los Angeles, but we're still speaking to each other in the here and now because of Wi-Fi signals. But we
Exactly.
can't smell, taste, touch, or see them because the waves are moving so fast, our brain can't detect it. But sadness has a slower moving range or in a wave than, for example, this Wi-Fi signal. So we can actually feel sadness in our body. So what's happening is that these energy waves are moving through the body at a slower rate, and your brain is able to detect them. So emotions, generally speaking, do their waves do move faster than like a cell phone. Okay, because like a cell phone, you can hold, you can touch. That's mass, it's matter. But you can't necessarily hold or touch sadness. But within a range of the way that those waves move, there are still levels. And so the brain can detect still certain levels within levels. I mean, that's the complication of physics, okay? I am not a physicist, but that's why we can feel like fear. We get a lump in the throat or our
Yeah.
stomach tightens or we might get red in the face because those vibrations and frequencies are moving slower so the brain can detect it. So that's what's going on. And anxiety is when there's more than one emotion.
Yeah.
So all you need are two to start getting anxious, which could be happy and scared at the same time, right? What could an example of happy and scared be? Going out on a date with a very handsome gentleman. All of a sudden you're anxious because you're happy because he's really good looking and there's hope, but you're nervous because and scared because what if I don't get accepted or blah, 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 blah. So all of a sudden your body has this excess amount of energy. And if it keeps that amount of energy, in order to release it, it has to go either you have to direct it somewhere or it's going to pop like a pimple and you'll have no control. So that's what's going on in the body in a nutshell, right? Because it's
Yeah.
everything in a nutshell. But I just wanted to explain it in a way so that people can understand.
It's
Yeah.
fantastic. It's so interesting. Thank you for that. What's the difference between intuition and just fear wearing a disguise? Because a lot of people's gut feeling is actually anxiety talking,
Right.
right?
Right. I often talk about instinct versus intuition, and they're two different things. And instinct it has a level of fear to it. So that would be the distinction, or that would be the difference. They both give you information and data, and they both could be right. But if there's a level or just any bit of fear, that is what can take you away from being intuitive. So usually when something is intuitive, there's not a lot of thought behind it. It's just something that I guess the best word would be innate.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of comes through. In your body, it can feel expansive. You can feel just really emotionally high, or you can feel emotionally at peace. Whereas instinct, there's fear, right? And usually there's an element, it could be, now this is going to sound dramatic, but it's going to sound worse than it is. And that's a potential or a possibility of your life literally being in danger. So the ego steps in to protect it. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you're wrong. There's a very fine line, and the easiest way to make that discernment is, how does my body feel? And where am I coming from? So that takes inner reflection, and it takes awareness. So that's really the difference.
And this is
And
so difficult sometimes, right? This
oh,
awareness in the moment, it goes so quick and we
yeah,
are
but
gone.
yeah, but that's why your nervous system actually can then act, or you can train it to sort of be a pendulum, right? Like, should I do this or should I not? With the pendulums,
Yeah,
easy yes or no questions,
yeah.
right? So the more you can train your nervous system to be calm and just to be whatever your normal is, which could be meh, like, everything's fine. There's nothing great and there's nothing terrible. That's just the way it is. The easier it's going to be for you to make an intuitive choice or decision versus even an instinctive one.
If someone's stuck
Mhm.
replaying a conversation in their head right now, what's the exact first physical thing they should do before they even try to think their way out of it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would say go ahead and start the heart hug method, of course, because
Okay,
I'm a bit
can you walk
biased.
me through the
Yeah.
heart? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Sure. And since you're familiar with tapping, this is
Mm-hmm,
not going to be difficult for you at all. So
mm-hmm,
that's good. So, what we're going to do is we're going to place our hand on the heart center, and we're just going to gently tap on the heart center. So, you'll find a pattern, like a rhythmic pattern, that's comfortable for yourself. So, this is
yeah.
the first part.
Mm-hmm,
If your hand gets tired, you can always switch it out. So you're not going to ruin any momentum if you've been doing this for a while. Right. So sometimes I'll even go like this, depending on how my hands feel. Like, what have I been doing with my hands that day? So what's lovely, and just keep tapping as I talk. What's lovely about this is you don't have to sit there and try and clear your mind, because you're going to let your body take care of the clearing for you.
yeah.
So what you're going to want to do to start out is you're going to want to take a measurement of what do I feel right now? Am I anxious? Am I stressed? Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, where am I right now? So you can just go ahead and choose a number. You don't have to tell it to me out
Mm-hmm.
loud right now.
Okay.
The second step we're going to do is we're going to focus our attention on the heart, because wherever we place our attention, that's where our energy is going to go. So if we're worried or concerned about something, we're leaking our energy outside of us. So we need to call it and bring it back.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're going to do is we're going to start breathing into and out of the heart for 5 seconds. So we'll inhale to 5. I'll guide you through it. So in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out of the heart. 2, 3, 4, 5. In, out, in, out, in, out. Good. And then you just do that for about a minute. And then you could do one of two things. When I'm working with someone one on one, I can start channeling messages for them based on their needs. And they continue and then they start ingesting that information. I have them repeat after me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's where the real personalization comes in of the heart hug method.
Mm-hmm.
For us right now, you can just think of something or someone that you absolutely love and adore and that you're very grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go ahead,
Mm-hmm.
think of that while you're breathing and tapping. And now you can stop tapping, place both of your hands on your heart center, and just continue breathing in and out of the heart. And then if you want to add a spiritual aspect to this, so here's the extra added yummy goodness, is that all of that gratitude and the joy and the love that you just conjured up, you can send out and emit to the world. Or if you know of anybody who is having a hard time, you can think of them and you send them that love. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So where are you now on that scale? Again, you don't have to say it out loud, but
Hmm.
has that number changed?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no number anymore. So
You went to the cosmos. I love that. I love that.
yeah, it's fantastic. I love it because it's you can heal actually relationships with this method.
So without a doubt, because what that will do is as you practice it, again, there's the neuroplasticity, there's neuroscience to this, right? You have to, on a consistent, repetitive basis,
Yeah.
implement or practice.
Yeah.
So what I do with my clients is because I work with really busy women, and so they have to find time to do this. So I tell them, your job is to do this one for right now. When I start people off, I just start them with the heart tapping for
Mm-hmm.
1 minute, 3 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
So that's literally 3 minutes in a day. And
Mm-hmm.
if no one can find 3 minutes in the day, nothing's going to help them. I'm sorry. I have to be very blunt and transparent with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You're on the toilet, you could be doing it while you're on the toilet or in the shower. So
Exactly.
it's really easy to fit into your day. And then the next session, we'll add the second part where we'll start going into the heart and we start conjuring up that yummy goodness feeling. I do have very spiritual clients. And then the third part will be that they send it out because energy influences energy. That is,
Absolutely.
again, another universal law.
Absolutely.
So the entire thing can take 3 minutes. This is a 3 minute process. And then as we start going, we build up
Yeah.
to more and more time. But
Mm-hmm.
what starts to happen is because your heart is opening and activating the electricity, the heart is the largest electromagnetic field of the body. So what happens is it has neurons in it. So there's an intelligence to the heart.
Yeah.
So that's why the heart is the largest electromagnetic field and it can really emit. So people will feel you before they see or hear you, which is amazing. So when you practice this over and over and over again, your body teaches your brain what is happening, which is fantastic. And then your body will start to crave it because it starts to neutralize those lower vibrational frequencies. That's why I always say, open your heart. The more, but it's counterintuitive, right? So if you're in a relationship with someone and you're able to navigate the ups and downs, because as we know, there's no perfect relationship out there. But if your nervous system is regulated or you can control it, your communication is going to just be so much better. And then your safety in the relationship is going to be so much better. And because energy influences energy, how you are with your partner will be able to receive that, whether they're aware of it or not, and then actually give it back to you. So this is perfect for relationships.
This is so, so very good. I will do this.
Excellent. Very good.
What I normally do to calm myself down is to tap, and I
Yeah.
also tap with my clients, and it is very good for the nervous system. But yeah, to bring in the heart is wonderful. Yeah. Could it be that overthinking could be a good thing, or where is there is a fine line, huh, between healthy reflection and then
Yes.
spiraling?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's actually a good question that a lot of people don't ask. It's not that we don't want to overthink, because a lot of times overthinking is healthy analysis. It's when we get paralyzed
Yeah.
by the thinking that it becomes detrimental.
Mm.
We still need to operate with some sort of cerebral intelligence. So we can't just, and a lot of us are very empathetic, or we're extremely sensitive, right? So we can't just work from the heart and just be like, hey, everything's great. We become doormats and we're still supposed to take care of ourselves. And that's where the brain comes in and the thinking comes in and the discernment comes in. So what we ideally in a perfect world, and there is no such thing as perfect as we know, but what we would ideally strive for is discernment versus overthinking. Because we do need to think. It's just when it stops us or it causes physical ailments or our relationships become null and void, let's just say. We want to do our best to be discerning versus overthinking, because we do need to use our brain. So we want to use our brain and take our heart with us, but we don't want to just use one, or we want to use both. When we use both, it's not so much overthinking, it's discernment.
Yeah, fantastic. So you work with a lot of high achieving women. What's a pattern that you see constantly that they can't see in themselves?
They do so great at work. The pattern really is that everything goes great at work, but as soon as they leave work, what do I do? How do I do this? And there's this loop of the overthinking. A lot of that has to do with the fact that anxiety energy, overwhelm energy is actually very masculine in nature. It's do, do, do. But if someone's core is feminine, that's more about be and receive. When you're at work, you can't just be and receive. You actually have to participate. You have to create. You have to strategize. So a lot of, and this is something that is it is a level of truth. I don't like it, but it is a reality. And that's a lot of modern day women are too masculine. If you, for example, want relationship, and you want relationship with a man who's masculine and you are in your masculine, that's going to cause a lot of friction, because energy needs to be absorbed and integrated. And if they're both the same, they could easily repel instead of attract. So a lot of women they look like they have it together on the outside, chef's kiss, but on the inside, they're like not in alignment with who they are. So they're constantly second guessing themselves and they're wobbling in indecision. And it costs them time, it costs them energy, and definitely opportunity. And it's exhausting. It's exhausting. How you are at work is not how you should be. And this might be controversial, at least in the States it is. Like how you are at work is not who you're supposed to be in relationship. They're two different energies. But if you're constantly in that same energy, there's just gonna be more conflict than resolution.
Exactly. So many women suffer from a burnout, right?
Yeah, because
But
they're too masculine.
yeah,
And I know that, like I said, out here in the States, it's, kind of controversial, but, because equal rights and, liberties and all of this stuff, but you cannot change the innateness and the design of the energy. And honestly, the way energy works is it doesn't care. It's just going to do what it's supposed to do, which is move in certain patterns and at certain speeds. It doesn't judge. It doesn't care about your story. It just is going to come and it's predictable, which is why working with energy is so beautiful because you know what the outcome and the result is going to be, which is the total opposite of uncertainty. So it actually gives you security.
exactly.
Yeah.
This inner security and stability. To end our conversation, if someone listening is in mid spiral right now,
Mm.
eyes on their phone, what's the one thing you'd want them to do before they even finish this episode?
Put
Is
the
it?
phone down, put your hand on your heart, and take a deep breath into your heart. That's where I would start.
Okay.
Then I would just start doing, the heart tapping.
Yeah.
Look, the heart tapping, one of like I mentioned this before, but I'm a really practical person. And if I can't do something that's easy and that's not going to take that long, I'm not going to do it over and over and over again. I'll be like, this is too much. I would try the heart hug method for sure. And I would start very small with just like a minute and just do step one. My gift to your listeners and your followers and subscribers is a PDF guide on how to do what you and I just did. So I would even break down smaller. Always, I would say, this is what I would say actually. If someone's in a spiral, I would say, put your hand on your heart, take a deep breath, and I would try and reverse engineer the circumstance or situation. Because a lot of times when we go backwards, we actually will get clarity and then we can see what the next step is instead of constantly moving forward where we're like, well, what is the answer? Because we don't have the answer. So put your phone down, put your hand on your heart, take a deep breath, and start at the end and then go backwards. That's probably what I would do. Not but, and do the heart hug method.
For sure. What a conversation, Terry. Thank you for being so generous with your wisdom and for giving us something we can actually use today, not just think about.
Yeah. You're welcome.
So I really, really invite everyone who's listening to this episode to download Terry's free gift. And second, if you're someone who's been craving a moment to just exhale, I want to personally invite you to a free tapping hour with me. It's called Coming Home to Yourself. It's a beautiful, gentle space to release what you've been holding and reconnect with yourself. As always, thank you for spending this time with me. If this episode moved something in you, send it to a woman in your life who needs to hear it and leave a review. It generally helps this show reach more women who need exactly this kind of conversation. Thank you so much, Terry, for bringing all your wisdom to our listeners. I really enjoyed our conversation today.
Anya, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Until next time, this is her life fully lived. Go live yours.